Welcome to Going In Blind. I'm your host, Zach Tidwell, and today I'm speaking with the big-armed, bigger-hearted combat veteran, tattoo artist, and entrepreneur, Justin Martinez. And to everyone at home, thank you for listening. Please take a second to help me grow the show so that I can keep delivering these conversations week after week for years to come. Subscribe, rate, and review the show in whatever podcasting app you're using right now, and check out the show notes to follow me on social media and YouTube as well. When you share your favorite episodes, tag me and use the hashtag GoingInBlind. You can also join my mailing list at zachtidwell.net. And if you know someone you think I should talk to, have them send me an email at contact.goinginblind@gmail.com. What's up, fella?
What's going on there, Zach? How you been, man?
I've been pretty good. I'm glad even though I had to bug you about 12 times to send me an email back or to reply to my email, I'm glad we were finally able to get your dumb ass on here.
Dude, I'm a little busy, dude. Okay.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
I don't sit in my room all day and do nothing like you, but
Yeah, I Dutch oven myself, even though I don't have any sense of smell. I do just I like to just sit around and like imagine what it would smell like when I do it. So that is
it probably smells like shame and regret, dude. So.
Yeah. That's I had the head instructor of my jiu-jitsu gym has a very similar sense of humor to mine, and so I forget a lot of times not to filter stuff that I say when I'm at class. And usually if I say something that's real dark, there's vets and cops in there and I might get some giggles out of them, but usually he'll giggle real quietly. But other than that, I get silent sometimes. And I was talking to him about it, and I was like, yeah, man, the worst part with that isn't the fact that no one laughs. It's that I can't see their faces with it. So I can't tell if it's shock or if they're offended or if it just wasn't funny. And he was like, well,
it's probably a little bit of both, dude.
Yeah. And he was like, the cool thing is that you can still hear disappointment.
Yeah. You can still feel the disappointment in the room, dude.
Yeah. Everyone talks about your senses heightening when you lose your sight, and that's been one that I didn't expect, but it's been happening.
Yeah, because I'm sure it happens to you a lot, because you always definitely make those inappropriate jokes and comments and all that crap, and a lot of people don't know how to take it, but especially non-military or first responders or whatever, because that's what we come up around, right? But yeah, like when I remember when we brought you out to Operation Surf. You made some comments, and there were some donors and some pretty high donors up there in the awards room that we were, when we were giving the awards out and everything. And I had to remind you, I was like, hey, dude, the donor's standing right next to you, because you made some stupid comment like you always do. And, everybody, it was kind of like an awkward laugh with everybody, but dude, I was cracking up, and, I was like, this guy's an idiot.
Well, it's not knowing, like, in the first place that, I need to be warned beforehand that I need to tailor what's going around. It's definitely.
No, I think that's bullshit, because I've warned you a couple times. I always, whenever I walk you into somewhere, I'm like, hey, this is the landscape, dude. This is the scope of the land, or who's in front of you, who's in the room, all that stuff. And no, I don't think you either give a shit, or I think you try and play the blind card. And you're just like, dude, you're like, oh, I'm blind, I don't know any better, like you play that card.
Whatever. Yeah.
So every race, everybody's got their own, like if you're blind, you have your own card. So everybody's got their own card that they play, and you definitely play that. So.
Oh yeah. I'm just. I love it. That's everyone thinks being blind is so tough, but you get all these social passes for this stuff.
You get away with it for sure, dude.
Oh, and I can be like, it's TBI.
Yeah. Dude, there's just a bullet that went through my brain. You kind of like Brian Wells.
Brian,
dude.
Yes.
Brian is the same, dude. Brian, I think he got that part blown out of his head where he has, dude, that dude has zero filter, zero. And I think you were with us, dude, when we went skiing up, and I think it was Breckenridge or Telluride or something like that. And we were in a restaurant, and I had to shut him up, dude, because he was just going off. And you were
Yeah.
even silent, dude. You were like, you weren't saying anything dumb, which is weird. But yeah, he was just going off, and I was like, Brian, there's a family right behind us, and he said some other shit, and he kept going, dude. I was like, Brian, stop.
Yeah, that's if I have he absolutely wherever that bullet went through his brain, it absolutely did remove his filter and to where and I think it's just he doesn't care. Like if I have situational awareness, I will filter myself. But that guy's a goober. When I met him, it was the first time that I met you. It was at the Wounded Warrior event that you put on. And so he's regained some of his sight. I don't know how all that works. It must not have been his optic nerves that were damaged. But when we sat down at the table, and this is right as I first met him.
I didn't know you
And
guys just met, dude, because you guys
yeah,
were talking shit
well,
like no
he,
other.
he was like, so how'd you lose your sight? And I was like, well, I shot myself in the head. And he's like, no, you fucking didn't. I was like, yes, Brian. Yes, I did. And he's like, well, you fucking suck at that, don't you?
Yeah, dude, I
Like,
remember that. That's why I thought you guys were like buddies.
yeah.
Because
And
is
that's
yeah, is you and Brian and I forgot the other guy's name. Super cool dude. Damn. He does
Steve.
a yeah, Steve
Yeah.
Vasquez, dude. He does a bunch of but he's not in that realm of you and Brian with the unfiltered crap. He's pretty professional, so
If you get him behind closed doors, especially Steve will what Steve has a little booze in him. That dude will he's a goober, but I do want to. So I do a little introduction for these. I know there's the official intro, but I try and give some people or give the people listening some context as to who I'm talking to. So for everyone at home, this is Justin Martinez. We met, as you just heard, pretty early on in my blindness. He is a retired Chief Warrant Officer 2 from the Army, did 20 years in the Army, and went on to work for Wounded Warrior Project and some other nonprofits. I met him while he was working for Wounded Warrior Project at an adaptive sports event that he was putting on. But we'll get into this a little later. I'm sure he's got a lot of irons in the fire now between running a new tattoo shop and a rental business and pursuing a graphic design degree and starting to do some videography stuff as well.
yeah.
But just a very, very interesting person and someone who showed me a lot of grace. I mean, you were around during the worst of my alcoholism. You absolutely saw the very worst side of me and still I don't know, I guess we reconnected. It's been about a year since I came out for Op Surf, but
Yeah. In March it will be a year.
yeah. So this he looks like a tool, he acts like a tool, he sounds like a tool, but he is a good guy. And so I was really I'm glad that I get to have you on today, man. So
Yeah, I'm stoked, dude. I'm stoked to be on this, especially with you, man. You making big stuff happen, dude. That's rad, and getting this together and doing all your apps and all your other crazy stuff that you're doing. I think even somebody who has full vision, wouldn't be able to do sometimes, So you'd freaking hats off to you, man. You've always been an inspiration for sure. So
yeah, thanks, dude.
yeah.
So I know, I mean, we can get into as much of your military career as you want, but I know that you struggled specifically in getting out, and you also had, that was before I met you. I know that there were hard times there, but that you were also going through some stuff when I met you, and even in the time that we weren't talking.
Yeah.
Would you like to? Because I think I know a lot of veterans struggle with some of the stuff that you struggled with, but also people who weren't in the military or haven't grown up in a military family aren't aware of what a shift it is to especially for someone like you. I mean, you Did you go in when you were 18?
Yeah, I was 19. Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, so you spent more than half of your life in the army and then all of a sudden you're out.
Hmm.
So do you want to
Yeah. Yeah.
go for it?
So yeah, dude. Yeah, I came in when I was 19 years old back in 96. I retired 2016. Did 3 combat tours. Those were all to Iraq. So I did some platoon sergeant time. I did some first sergeant time. And I changed over to become a warrant officer. And I retired as a warrant officer, but didn't do any deployments as a warrant officer. I was enlisted when I did the deployments, and we were the first guys. The first unit. I was a third ACR out of Fort Carson. We went over there in 2003. I think it was February or March 2003, and we were one of the first waves that came over there. And we're kind of doing peacekeeping at the time, I guess, kind of rebuilding, and then we started getting fucked up out there, and so. It was a change for sure of what I was expecting. We were in soft skin vehicles. So we weren't in the transition yet of getting up armored vehicles. So
Well, and
there's
I
a
want to
go ahead.
just, if we can, pause real quick. That's another thing people don't realize. And honestly, I didn't realize until I was in the Marines. Early on in the war, I mean, all the pictures that everyone sees now are MRAPs and, like you said, up armored Humvees. Early on in the war, these Humvees basically had vinyl siding.
Yeah.
And you hear combat vets, especially from earlier in the war, talking about finding metal from wherever they could and welding it onto
Hmm.
these vehicles, and even just stuffing the floor with sandbags, hoping that it might somewhat absorb the force of an IED when you roll over them, because at some point someone's going to hit one.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that's
100%.
insanity.
It is. And yeah, that's exactly what was going on. We were doing the hillbilly armor, welding, heavy sheets of metal onto the side of our vehicles. And what does that do to the drive line and the engine and all that stuff? It weighs everything down. Your vehicles start overheating. The drive lines start going out. The tires aren't, capable to hold all that weight. And then if you do get hit out there, now you're making a bigger blast for yourself. So now you're having all the shrapnel. Let's say IED hits the side of your vehicle. You're now there's more shrapnel that's going to be hitting you guys. Is able to withstand, a little 5.56 rounds, but anything bigger than that, dude, you're getting trashed. And so, yeah, so that was kind of like a little small part of my first tour, and then came back to Garrison, and we were back in Garrison for 10 months, and we went back out with third ACR, and that was a pretty big shift right there. With so we had third ACR. I was still with third ACR, and we had General McMaster's. He was Colonel McMaster's at the time. He was a stud, and he became Trump's last. He was, I think, his defense, not secretary, or he's something with defense with when Trump was president last term. And but anyways, we went out there and we did some pretty crazy stuff, but we were starting to get a little bit of up armored vehicles at the time, so we were a little bit more protected. Um, and then the third tour that we did, we were completely, we got the MRAPs and all that, we were completely armored and all that stuff at that time. That was a pretty rough rotation for me. And so came back. I went through a lot of stuff when I came back. That's kind of when I was changing over too, because that's when I put my warrant officer packet in. I developed my warrant officer packet, sent it in before I left, but then I came back to a partner that was, the whole regular story of almost a lot of, well, no, I'm not gonna say everybody, but a lot of military people, right? And a lot of military members, they come back and their husband or wife or whatever is cheating on them. So I came back to
Yeah.
that, and then I came. My mom ended up having cancer, and she passed away a couple months when I got back. Then I got into a relationship that was pretty toxic, and so there's just a lot of crap that went on then. So I had a pretty rough time, and then my transitioning out. So back up real quick, I went and became a warrant officer. Did a couple years before I got hurt. I actually got hurt freaking riding a motorcycle, thinking I was Pastrana out there freaking doing these jumps. And, I just wadded it on a jump and, shattered both my ankles, shattered my face, my wrists, got life flighted out of there. And, that kind of changed the whole trajectory of my career is, that was my 19th or 18th year that I was in. That's when all that happened. And I did the last 2 years kind of recovering, going through all my surgeries and, rehab and all that stuff. And getting out of the military, transitioning out of the military was probably the roughest transition or any type of, thing that I could go through. We're all labeled as somebody in the military, right? And then you get out and it's a completely different world. You're getting out and you don't have an identity. You don't have, warrant, Chief Martinez or, First Sergeant Martinez or whoever, and you get out and it's not like that anymore. So that was, even though I didn't hate it in the military when, cause I was, everything's checked the block in the military. And I complained about it when I was in the military, but what I loved was being needed, being needed by my soldiers, because I was a really hands-on leader with my soldiers. And, I love the camaraderie. I love taking care of my guys. I love taking care of my unit and all that stuff. And then, you get out and you don't have anybody to take care of anymore. It's just you. It's just Justin Martinez. It's not Chief Martinez. It's not First Sergeant Martinez. It's not any of that. And so get out and you just completely lose your identity. And I was tossing out resumes. I was like, oh, I'm gonna get hired by this guy. This company's gonna want me. I have all this experience. I have all this training in the military. And then I get out and I was throwing resumes out there thinking I was gonna get hired. Wasn't getting any responses back. And I was kind of coming down of what I thought I was, like I was just tossing out resumes just to see if it stuck, at certain spots. And that still wasn't happening.
Yeah.
And I was just like, man, this is crazy, dude. And so that even tossed me in a deeper depression because it felt like I wasn't needed anymore. And, a lot of us go through that that transition of, holy crap, dude, my identity is gone. My camaraderie with my guys is gone. I kept in contact. I still do with a lot of my guys, but it's just not, I don't see them every day anymore, and I don't have anybody to lead anymore. And so that kind of put some damper on me for sure. And that led me down a pretty dark road of kind of where you were at when you were depressed too. I had a gun in my hand.
Hang on, Justin. I'm gonna pause you real quick. For everyone at home, we paused for a second. Justin's mic switched over and was doing something funky, but it was right as you were saying, you were hands-on with your guys and you don't see him anymore. And then you had just started to mention that, you were at such a low point that was very similar to me. And then your mic switched over and that's kind of when I lost you.
Yeah. Yeah. So, like I was saying, just the transition out of the military and losing that camaraderie with my guys, losing that sense of purpose, sense of need, being needed and everything from people, that's all gone now. So that, more than my incident out in Iraq, that brought me down a pretty dark trail. That brought me down to, where I had a gun in my hand. I was ready to, pull the trigger. And, that on top of a toxic relationship, because I got into a marriage and that marriage was super toxic. And, so that just stuff was just stacking on top of things.
Did you have your son at that point already?
I did. Yeah. I had my son and it was just super toxic. So, I don't want to get too much in the weeds of the marriage, because it was toxic on both ends. I'm not the guy who's going to sit here and say, oh, my ex was, it was all her, No, it was me too. I take accountability for what I did in that marriage. But it just wasn't good for us. And we stayed in that marriage for too long, for the kids, and
Yeah.
I want to let people know out there, like, that's probably one of the most ridiculous, things that somebody can do, is trying to stay in a toxic relationship just for kids, because the
Well,
kids
because they're
see
going
all
to
that
pick
stuff.
up.
Yeah, exactly. The kids see it. The kids pick up on it and think that's normal, and then they're going to bring that into their relationships when they get older, and it's just not good. So, but yeah, on top of all of the depression, me not being able to actually find a good job, me not being able to, not there with my guys anymore, me not being, all this stuff, and then plus my marriage and everything else, I just felt hopeless. And I dumbass me, I thought it was a good solution, to pick up a gun, but luckily it was stopped. It was a struggle between me and my ex, and so I that's kind of where the marriage ended too. Um, but after I got out of that toxic relationship, you know, even though it was a long, drawn out process of the divorce and all that stuff, what even brought me even more depressed. But I was healing at the same time, because I wasn't in that relationship anymore, and getting out of that and actually seeing my worth, and then
Was
getting
that
that
the
job
only
with.
change?
No, so I got the job. I was with Wounded Warrior Project. I had purpose again. I was an outreach specialist with Wounded Warrior Project for 5 years, and that
So
was. Go ahead.
when did you start with, so you got out in 2016 and then all of this is happening. When
Yeah,
is the, I guess, timeline wise between 2016 and Wounded Warrior, what's the span there?
yeah. So I think it was a year and a half until I got with Wounded Warrior Project. So I think it was 2018 that I got with
Wow.
Wounded Warrior Project. Um, and so when I started working with them, it gave me my sense of purpose back. But again, I was still with my in that marriage. So
Yeah.
there was a little bit of healing with my purpose back, but there was still toxicity in my life, you know. And then yeah, I working with Wounded Warrior Project definitely gave me a sense of purpose and a sense of being needed again too, and bringing people together and meeting new people like yourself. If I would have never been with Window War Project, I would have never met you. I would have never met the Brian Wells. I would have never met all my other buddies that I still stay in contact with. I've made really solid true friendships through Window War Project. One guy I want to toss out there who's super important in my life, Josh Brown. He was there in one of my darkest times too, and he's the one. No matter who I thought was my really good friends, um, he was kind of an acquaintance at the time, but he is one of the guys that I never thought would reach out, but he did. Not, I didn't think he wasn't going to reach out because of the person he is, because he's an amazing person. However, I, you know, I just him and I didn't have that friendship yet to where we're just like, oh, dude, we're solid homies. You know, he reached out and he helped me through some stuff and
Yeah.
through another pretty dark time in my life, because it's not that when I got out I just fell into one dark time, right? I it was a roller coaster for me for a while, and
Yeah, it's not a quick fix for any of that stuff.
no,
And usually, I I say usually, I would imagine all the time, at least in my experience, all the time when you're addressing those things that are putting you in that spot, that in and of itself is shitty and uncomfortable. So
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, and it's people say, oh, go to therapy or whatever, and you'll be fixed. No, it's not like that. It's a process. It's a process of trying to retrain your brain of from the trauma and everything else. And everybody, not just military members, everybody goes through trauma. We don't know the person sitting next to us who's a civilian or whoever, what they've gone through in their life, right? I've met some people who have gone through some gnarly shit. And, and a lot of people will be like, oh, well, I was in the military. I'm the only one with trauma. I have PTSD. No, everybody has PTSD. So you don't know who's struggling, because nobody really knew I was struggling when I was. It's like literally, I reached out to, I'm not going to name him, but I reached out to somebody who I was there for a long time. I was there for him through some pretty dark times in his life. And when I reached out to him, and I was like, when people say, oh, bro, like call me anytime, I'll be there for you. Right. Sometimes those people who say that aren't there, because I was reached out to this guy, and he would text me, like he would ignore my call and text me, I'm busy. And I told him, dude, I need you, bro. I need you,
Yeah.
whatever. And then, I finally did contact him like 4 or 5 phone calls later. And he literally told me, don't blame me for, this and that. And I was like, okay, cool. But anyways, when Josh reached out to me, that showed me right there. I was like, this dude, he is there for me, and he helped me through so much. And that's why I hold that guy's friendship really, really high in my life. So, there's
Yeah.
one or two people in your life that will really change your life like that. So
He's a stud. For people listening, Josh is an active duty Green Beret, and just we went rock climbing a couple months ago, and that motherfucker's body is so broken, dude.
yeah.
He had some sort of electric like stimulation system hooked up to his back so that his back wouldn't lock up on him while he's climbing the
Mm-hmm.
wall and stuff. And it's
Dude,
just
yeah.
he's a stud, but you're like, dear God, man. I think he's just, I mean, that's a hard life. Those operators go through
Oh,
some
dude.
shit.
Yeah, the soft community, dude. You know, they're badasses, and I, definitely tip my hats to them, dude, because Josh is a diver. He's a warrant officer buddy too, but he's a diver with the 10th group, out of Fort Carson. And he's I think he's been in 30 something years or something like that, but
Yeah.
he's a badass. And um so yeah, I just definitely want to highlight him, and his partner Claire, and they're both rad. She was in the military too, and so there's just super good people for sure.
Yeah. I want to get him on at some point. I'd text him about it before the show actually launched when I was recording the first couple episodes, but I'm gonna bug him again here at some point. Maybe once yours comes out, I'll be like, hey man, now you have to come on.
Yeah,
Justin
yeah,
was calling you a pussy, and he
yeah,
said Green
100%.
Berets aren't shit. Uh,
That's
I,
exactly what I said, dude.
when you were when you were talking about getting in at Wounded Warrior Project and that being roughly in 2018, I think we probably met at the very end of 2019 or 2020, and I was thinking with everything else that happened leading up to that, I was like, everything's making sense now. You had this Ford Raptor when I met you. And you said, I can't remember. You took me for a ride in it, and I mean, it was freaking sweet. But you said something. I can't remember if you said the payment was $1,000 a month or $1,500 a month.
15, dude.
Yeah, I'm
It
like,
was a
that was
fucking
absolutely.
mistake.
Now that I know all this, that was your crisis purchase.
Yeah,
I get it. I
yeah,
did.
dude. Dude,
I
100% crisis, dude. And I needed a sick truck to, like, because I was transitioning into the single life, dude. So
yeah,
uh, yeah, I needed something for sure,
it
because
was a
my
sweet
looks ain't
truck.
gonna do it. My looks ain't gonna do it. So yeah, truck for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I figure so. I don't release the video for this. I don't even know if your camera's on, but
It is.
Justin is freaking jacked for people at home. It's at least from the waist up. Your shoulders and your arms are freaking huge. So I know you're compensating for something. You're either
Dude.
fugly or you got a little dick.
Dude, it's
So
both. It's both.
it is both. I get
The
it, dude. I'm right there
dude,
with you. Except I
fucking
don't.
total micro, dude.
Yeah, I don't have the
Yeah.
big arms, so I'm really fucked.
Yeah, dude. So you're definitely just swinging, dude. But like, yeah, I it was funny because I remember you were holding on to my arm, when I was kind of like scooting you around, and you were just, dude, you were just juicing in your pants. It was kind of disgusting at the same time, but it's
Also
kind of
impressive the output. I'm so productive with it. That's also like you kind of have to respect it.
yeah,
Yeah.
dude, mad respect for sure,
Just
dude.
a
So
little snail trail getting left behind in the dirt.
you're just like a chick just when she's on her period, just suit soaking through her pants, dude. That's what you look like, dude. Just a chick walking around.
Yeah, I'm
Dude.
has anyone ever told you you have a way with words? That
Oh,
was
dude,
just
that's how I pick
you
up the chicks, dude.
you painted a picture there and it was just I felt like I could see again. So I really appreciate it.
I'm pretty good at that, dude. You can ask my partner now, dude. She's just like, how do I imagine? Like, how do I see everything you're saying? Because I'm pretty descriptive on the way I talk, dude. But I just want to make sure that everybody kind of sees what I'm seeing as well.
Yeah,
You
you're
know?
all about including everyone.
Yeah,
And that's what
100%.
I really love about you is
Yeah,
you're just so sweet like that.
just a little sweetheart, dude.
Yeah.
Exactly. Been called
So,
that.
so in this path, y- along the timeline of us knowing each other, you saw my shit show as I fell back
Yeah.
into alcoholism before, having not realized that I was an alcoholic before I shot myself. But and we kind of lost contact there for a little bit, and you were still at Wounded Warrior Project, but you started driving from Colorado Springs, Colorado, like 17 hours of Southern California to volunteer your
Mm,
time with another nonprofit.
yeah. Yeah. So I wasn't with Wounded War Project at the time when I started doing this. I actually quit Wounded War Project the week or the I think it was a Friday. Yeah, it was a Friday. So I got accepted on to this program, Operation Surf. Uh, it's a sick program. It's people need to check it out. People need to join it because the power of the ocean is something that can be that is completely undescribable until you actually step foot in the water or actually get out there on the surfboard, stand up. Even if you're not standing up, just sitting, hanging out with your buddies or whatever,
Well, and
talking shit.
laying out there, freezing your ass off and peeing in your wetsuit to stay
Oh,
warm.
dude,
That's real
yeah,
cool. I appreciated
that
that.
yeah, dude, just pissing in your wetsuit, just swimming around your piss. But like, so I got accepted on the program. It started on a Sunday, I believe. So I had quit Wounded War Project right before that because my whole goal with why I quit Wounded War Project because I was supposed to move down to San Diego, um, with my ex girlfriend that I was with. Well, she wasn't my ex at the time. We had all these plans and all that stuff, but that just went to shit. But anyways, I quit Wounded War Project that Friday, and then Sunday I left to Avila Beach, California. Operation Surf flew me out there, and it was a week-long program. So I think I stayed from a Sunday to a Thursday, I believe it was, or a Friday. Yeah, I flew out on that Friday, next Friday. But so I was a participant with them, and I remember when I got out there, I knew that's where I needed to be. I knew I needed to be out by the ocean. I knew I needed to be out and being part of Operation Surf in some type of capacity, because just the vibe, the community, and everything with that was just amazing. It was just what I needed to be and where I needed to be. So I got out there, and then when I came back, I remember. Well, when I got out there, I remember telling the executive director, it's the founder's wife, Amanda, and I told her. I remember I said, "I'm gonna be out here one day. I'm gonna live out here one day." And, she kind of giggled it off, like, "Oh yeah, I'm sure she heard that from everybody else." But I said, "I'm gonna be out here one day. I promise you that." And so I came back and I didn't have a job. I was still tattooing and all that stuff on the side, but I was like, you know what? I think this is where I need to be. So I literally started driving, um, and doing week long volunteer stops out there in Avila. and just helping out Operation Surf as much as I could, and in whatever capacity I could. And 17 hours. It was it was rough, but it was fun at the same time. And I just say, you know what, this is it. And doing that a couple months, I came back as a veteran support. They chose me as a veteran support, which is you're now kind of on the staff side. You're not hired with them. You're just a volunteer still, but you come on the program and you help the new alumni, the new participants, if they're going through anything, or, just like, what was his name, who was with you? Super cool dude. Gabe was with you, during your program. That he was a participant too, but he was also, kind of your support as well. But anyways, came out there for the support. That was another week-long program. And then came back to Colorado. And I think I came back one more time on my own. And they were like, hey, we have a position open as a program manager. You want to come down to the office and help us create it? Like, kind of, put it out and just kind of, tighten it up, and how we want to display it out, out on the job posting. And I was like, yeah, I'll go down there. And so I went down there and I was sitting in the office with him, and I was like literally looking at everything. And I was like, I can do this, right? Like, this is right up my alley. Like, this is something I want to do. And they're like, really? And it's like, yeah. So I was able to get on, you become part of the team, and I got hired on, and I came back, and I think I had maybe 2 months to pack all my shit from Colorado and move it down to California. And so I packed up. My buddy Denny Brenneman, he was another warrior with Wounded War Project that I met through programming. Super cool dude. He literally helped me pack all my shit, and he drove a U-Haul down here, and I drove my truck with, loaded with the trailer, and moved into the house. And I lived right there on the beach at Avila Beach, 2 blocks away from Operation Surf, and started working with them. And it was probably the best. It was such a rad community and such a rad job.
Well, and you seemed very content you definitely seemed like you were in your lane when you were at Wounded Warrior Project, but I also know that the schedule of the job that you were doing there was just insane with travel.
Yeah.
And so after having not seen you in probably a year and a half or 2 years and seeing you out there in California, you seemed in your element.
Yeah.
And just, I think that contentment goes a long way, where you're just, you're kind of at peace.
I was 100. That was the exact words I was going to use. I was 100% at peace. I was definitely in my element. I grew up surfing, and that was my thing. And just being at the beach, being with that awesome team, and just serving veterans and watching them grow, and like you, when you came out, to be able to see you get up on a fucking surfboard, dude, was so freaking rad. Like, that was probably one of my top moments of joy, right? Like, seriously, for one, seeing you came out, because I remember I gave you a call, because we were working with BAMC and Brooks Army Medical Center down in Texas, and they weren't able to provide the personnel that we needed. So we had to kind of scramble to find about 4 or 5 participants. And I remember I was like, dude, Zach, I even called Steve, and I even called Brian too, because I was like, dude, if I can get all 3 of them out there, that would have been sick.
Yeah.
But they already had prior engagements. But you're just like, yeah, since you're you're a loser and you don't do anything, you're just like, yeah, I don't have a life, so I might as well go out there. And but we got you all signed up, dude, and you came out, and for one of my joys was to see you again, just talk shit with you again. And because I remember I was telling my girlfriend, I was like, dude, this guy's, I always talked about you, dude. I was like, this guy's Zach. He's fucking, I told him about your story and I told him about you as a person.
Well,
Like,
I thought I had burned that bridge. I told you that when you called me because you called me out
yeah,
of the blue and we hadn't
yeah.
talked in a long time. I thought I had fucked that up from I
Well,
showed up to one of your events just hammered.
yeah, yeah. That was one of my last events.
Yeah.
And yeah, you were fucking hammered, dude. And, it was a dress up,
Nice dinner.
expensive, yeah,
Yeah.
real expensive steakhouse that I brought everybody to. And yeah, you showed up and yeah, I'm gonna be straight up, dude. You were hammered and you were um not borderline, but you were obnoxious, dude.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that, I'm not talking shit, that it's just again, when I was sitting there, trying to shut you up, like, dude, stop, Zach, stop. And you kept going. I was like, dude, okay, but I put all that aside in my head because I remember I walked you outside afterwards, and I remember the girlfriend that you were with at the time. She said, "I'm sorry," and I was like, "Dude, you know what? I don't give a shit." Like, yeah, wrong audience to do that in front of, but at the same time, this guy has gone through some shit, and never once did I ever say, "You know what? Fuck Zach." I never shut the door on you because, like I said, I will never be able to put myself in your shoes of what you've been through, because for one, you were in a fucking dark area, dark point to pull that trigger. And for you to pull that trigger is something that a lot of people, don't even have, like, we don't even have the intestinal fortitude to do that, even though we want to. You know what I'm saying? So making that step to even pull that trigger is a fucking huge decision. But for you to overcome everything that you have from, it's not like you grew, you were born blind. You had your sight before. You were in the military. You were a Marine, dude. Like, you did a lot of shit where you could see and now you can't. And you're still young, dude. So for you to overcome all that was, I would always talk about you, dude. I was like, it's fucking Zach, dude. I was like, awesome, dude. And so when I told you, I gave you grace for that, dude. I did give you grace. I
Yeah.
still give you grace, dude, because again, I can never put myself in your shoes. There's no way. There's no fucking way.
It doesn't excuse where the nothing excuses my behavior there. And that, I mean, that I struggled with that for 2.5 years. I was that drinking, and at its worst, I was binging for 2 or 3 days straight and just blacked out the entire time, would
Yeah.
recover for 2 or 3 days and then do it all over again. And
Well,
nothing can excuse that. So you deciding to take the high road on that is way bigger than just, hey, he's been through some shit. Like that is I told you that when we talked on the phone. Like I couldn't believe that, and I can't express how much I appreciate that, or even just how big of you that is.
dude, what how I think of it, dude, you didn't do anything to me. You didn't bang my wife. You didn't, you didn't fucking
Yeah,
steal from me. You didn't do any stupid shit to me. So why would I turn my back on you if you were just going through a hard time, dude? And like that's bullshit. And people who do that, that's superficial of like, they don't, or it's artificial of their friendship. They when they I don't know,
it's
dude. It's just
superficial. Yeah,
superficial. Yeah. So it's just, it doesn't make sense, dude. So why would I fucking do that, dude? If you didn't personally hurt me purposely, you know, then no, dude, that doesn't make sense to me, dude.
yeah,
And
it makes sense when you say it like that. But I couldn't have blamed you if you were like, no, fuck that guy.
no.
Yeah,
And then that, like, that just shows the caliber of the person that I am. And I don't want to be that guy either. Like, um, you know, you
yeah,
you've never burned any bridge with me, dude. And I'm so stoked that you were able to pull yourself out of that alcoholism and all that stuff and do what you're doing now. So, like I said, hats off to you, dude. And I'm super proud that you're my boy and my homie and everything else. And what you've done, like I said, when I watched you get up on that board, dude, and your story and everything else, and you still holding a smile on your face, dude. Like it's fucking amazing, dude. And so,
I didn't expect to be able to get up. I mean, I didn't think that was going to happen, but it just,
dude, it was so sick. And
that experience was so much more just all together. Like you talk about the water and the ocean being so powerful. I mean, that very much so. And I would imagine if I could actually smell the water, that probably would have been even more powerful. But
oh yeah, yeah,
hearing hearing the waves coming in and you feel that it's about to be time, and then Brent's yelling like, all right, paddle, 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 just going, and then
yeah,
that you get that initial surge of the water, and then you kind of settle into that rough spot where it's like the foamy area, and then you get that second
yeah,
wave and it starts carrying
yeah,
you forward, and
yeah,
it's so I expected it to be very or almost exactly the same as snowboarding, but it was so different because there
yeah,
is that aspect of it. And even when you eat it, you're just getting tossed in a washing machine under the
yeah,
water. It was
yeah.
so much fun.
And then
Also,
Claire fucking cutting you off.
yeah, that was real cool, Claire.
Dude, she saw you and she was just like, dude, fuck this guy. Like, I don't care. Like, this is a good wave. I don't care. I'm gonna cut him off. And dude, we got it on video too, which is
Yeah.
sick.
And well, and then the news guy roasted me, so
No,
that
he
was
did.
real cool. That was that I they had reached out to me after when it came out and they're like, "Hey, it's out. Like go check it out." And I said something about like everyone getting a kick out of the jokes and they were never responded. I still don't think that they ever recognized like how ridiculous that was.
Because my Carrie, my girlfriend said that and she was just like, did you catch that? And I was like, no. And then I like replayed it and I was like, oh shit. Yeah.
It's so funny. It's priceless when you stop and listen to it in the context of like, okay, wait, I really need to pay attention to what was said here. It's pretty hilarious.
Yeah, it is.
But
But it's rad that they came out and they did a story on you. And I showed my dad because I talk about my dad, about you too, and just like because that was a pretty big highlight of that program, of the Santa Cruz program. And you couldn't have came out at a better time too. Like Santa Cruz dudes, like that, those guys out there are so freaking it. That is by far the best program. Because just the community out there. If you were able to see what they did for when you got off the plane, like you and all the rest of the participants, there was Patriot Riders, there was American Legion, there was all these guys that, dude, the motorcade was, I swear to God, it was like almost a mile long, dude.
on the fire trucks on
Fire
overpasses and police
trucks.
escort
Oh, dude, it was so sick. And it
for
was,
like an hour-long car ride.
yeah, yeah, dude. And it was such a perfect day because the year before, it was raining and it's just horrible, dude. But we had some American Legion guys out there, and even in the rain and all that stuff, and the firefighters. But this time it was just a sunny, bright day, and dude, when we finally got there, you had Jack O'Neill's son or grandson or what, owner of O'Neill, like these freaking shredders that out in Santa Cruz, the locals out there, dude, just all these badasses out there. Such a freaking rad program, and you know we weren't making a festival out of you, but at the same time we were just like, dude, we got this guy. He's 100% visually impaired, and he's out here to do this. And I hyped you up too. I was like, dude, he skis, he does all this other fucking rad stuff, and so he's gonna get it. And I remember I think right when you came in, dude, you just started talking shit and just cracking jokes, dude. And then you got out there on the water and crushed it, dude.
It was so
And
cool.
it's so
I
rad.
keep in touch with Brent.
Brent's a cool dude, man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. So yeah, you had a rad staff. But yeah, other than that, man, yeah, it was a sad day when I had to leave Operation Surf. But um, my girlfriend, she got a director position down here at an assisted living um, facility, and I was like, fuck it, go for it, dude, because I'm retired.
Yeah.
So I'm retired. I got my VA disability, so I was fine financially, and I was just like, I just don't want to leave Operation Surf, but if this is to support her career, I'm going to do it. So I went down there,
Yeah.
and I moved again after 2 years being there. I was with Operation Surf for 2 years. I was living there for 2 years, and so we literally picked up and moved down here. I
You're in
live in
Dana Point.
Laguna Niguel.
Okay.
Yeah, so Laguna Niguel's sick area, dude. It's real clean and nice out here, and I'm
Yeah.
10 minutes from the beach.
I was stationed on that very north side of Camp Pendleton, like at the Christianitos gate
Oh yeah.
that opens up into San Clemente. So I'm
Oh
familiar
yeah.
with that area. I loved it out there.
Oh, it's
I couldn't
sick, dude.
afford to live out there, but like it was,
I can barely.
yeah, it
Yeah,
was,
I can barely move. I can barely live out here too. It's expensive,
it's,
dude.
it's beautiful though.
Yeah.
Have you
Yeah.
guys been affected by the fires at all? Or are you far enough
No, no,
south?
no. So we're a little south. So
Okay.
me and my girl, we drove up to Malibu last weekend, just to kind of see the devastation and kind of,
Loot some
actually,
houses.
yeah, lose some houses, dude. But dude, it's so sad. It's so fucking sad, dude. It was kind of weird. I've never seen any devastation like that, dude. But it was real eerie. You know, all these roads were shut off, and it was just real quiet and like real, not a lot of people around. But um, it's rad seeing so many people out there, volunteering their time and helping these victims out and all that stuff. And, just the community coming together and making shit happen, which is really cool to see. But
It is. It's as much as it gets magnified how shitty people can be,
yeah,
like the looting stuff, for example, where
yeah, yeah,
you hear that there's been people also playing into this fire and starting fires elsewhere, but
yeah,
like the way that people really do rally together like that in any sort of horrific situation like that really is,
yeah.
if you choose to focus on that, that can brighten your outlook on things for sure.
Yeah,
Uh,
100%, dude. And like, you're an example, dude. Think about it. You're a fucking example. You can focus on so much bad shit, you know, but
And I
I'm
did for a long time. And
yeah.
it sounds like you may have when you were struggling. I mean,
Oh, 100%.
which is easy to do, but yeah, life's all about perspective. As corny as that is, I say that a lot because it is everything. We don't have. Obviously my situation is out of my own actions. A lot of things that happen to people in life are not a byproduct necessarily of their own actions. And so, yeah, you can choose to move on from it or not. And
Yeah. And you're absolutely right, dude. And again, you're a prime example of that, dude. And what you've done, and and you, and like I said, you and Vasquez, Steve Vasquez, dude. Like, even Brian, dude. Just Brian can see, but still, like, Vasquez is out there climbing freaking gnarly hills and mountains and all this stuff and doing rad shit.
he's
I
been
think he does some
sailing.
music,
That's his
sailing.
thing. Like, yes, he's like, it's ridiculous. Yeah, he's all over the place. I had him on the podcast. His episode came out this
Oh,
week.
sick,
He's
sick,
just,
dude.
yeah, he's a renaissance man with
That's
everything that he
so
does.
rad, dude. Yeah, like
But
it's just rad seeing what you guys can, what you do and what the community, the blind community, and just any community that has any type of you know, I don't want to say disability, but it needs adaptive,
it is a disability. You're not gonna offend someone. Like,
Well, I just, it's not like, I don't know, dude. It's just the when I see people overcome, like, with the Operation Surf, there's bilateral, amputees out there surfing, dude. There was this one dude,
yeah,
Martin. I think he's in the British Army or England or something like that. But this dude has no legs. I think it was amputated above the knee, uh, one arm, and
you sure
this
his
dude
name wasn't Bob?
I'm leaving that shit alone.
Yeah, I
He,
get the pass on that one. You probably
yeah, you
don't.
get the pass, dude, because he can talk shit
Yeah,
that you're a bad shot, dude. But fucking he he he's he fucking shreds, dude. He competed in a surf contest out here. Oh, well, not out here, but out in Pismo when I first started, dude. When I first was hired on with Operation Surf, there was a adaptive surfing program, and he came out from England and did that, and just full shreds, dude.
I
And I'm
love
like,
hearing stuff like that, and like people need to see that stuff because
yeah,
that's some get off your ass juice. If you're,
dude.
yeah,
100%. So that's why, that's why this topic's good too, because a lot of people, if they're listening to this, my life is so bad, this and that. It could be a fucking lot worse, dude. It, like, it's, yeah, we all fall into some dark moments, dude. I've done it recently, but uh, just be able to see what you can still do, and other people, when you're seeing like, dude, this dude's doing this, I can do it too,
it's
so
powerful. It really is.
yeah, yeah, for sure. But yeah, man, yeah, just kind of what you hit on earlier too. So I just moved from that to, from Operation Surf to moving out here, and open up my tattoo shop here. But at the same time, there's a lot of uh red tape here in Laguna Niguel because it's a pretty richy little area. So
Well, and you can't draw for shit either, so
I
that probably doesn't
dude,
help.
yeah, so stickman and fucking just garbage scarred tattoos is all I deliver.
Yeah,
But
your purpose now is I'm going to give people regrets that live with them for the rest of their life.
yeah, exactly, dude. Exactly. Just like you give all your ex-girlfriends. But
No.
no,
Oh,
like
Jesus.
yeah, they fucking, so there's a lot of red tape out here, dude. With licensing and all that stuff. So it's been pretty slow. But yeah, I rent out my trailer too. But and then you know, I opened up a little LLC on that and rent that out. And then I just started school this week for action sports videography and graphic design. And so
Is that a dual major? Like, are you pursuing two
so
degrees?
so it wasn't it's so I went from a degree to a certificate. So
Okay.
I'm not doing the degree program because to me, like, this is my thoughts. For one, I think it's bullshit that I have to learn math and English and all this other crap just to get, you know, a degree for something, like that has nothing to do with math and English if I want to go do some videography shit. So I was like, you know what? I'm doing this for my own personal thing. I'm not trying to get out and get a job anywhere. Doing this, it's for my own, learning. And
Yeah.
so I did that. I'm doing that. And I'm also helping my buddy Butch Bryan and Carl Kelly. They opened up they started a nonprofit called We Uplift You. And what that is, it's a nonprofit. So I'm gonna do a plug here. And it's a nonprofit that serves first responders and veterans. So firefighters, police officers, veterans, military, active duty, and veterans. We did a program last year. We worked actually with Operation Surf. So Butch and Carl have me kind of hopping on board to help them out with getting another program started. We're gonna be doing another program down here, and I'm flying up in Utah. So they're based out of Utah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm flying out to Utah in May, at the end of May, and they're doing a fundraiser it's a golf fundraiser in Utah.
So
I forgot.
what are their programs for that they're building out? What are
So
they
they're
doing?
so it's kind of, well, no, I don't want to mirror it to that, but because they're their own entity, and they do some rad shit. So what they do is they bring active duty or retired military, first responders, whatever, and they bring them out and do programs, life-changing programs for them. So like I said, last year, I think they brought out six participants, six or seven participants out, and we paired up with Operation Surf, and we taught these guys how to surf. And
Is
it's
it
just a
all
couple.
surfing stuff?
No. So they're working with some other nonprofits, other organizations to do like hunting and some equine therapy. So that it's all about the mental health, and it's all about the connections too. So connections matter with them. And what is rad about them is that a lot of the programs, a lot of the organizations that you see, like the veteran programs that you see, you'll get on a program and then you're kind of forgotten about, right? You go on,
Yes.
you take off, and you're really not connected anymore. So Butch and Carl, that's their tagline: connections matter. And it's not just a tagline, it's something that they're super passionate about, and then that I've seen them stick to. So they, like, the participants that were on their last program, they brought them into their homes, like had a big barbecue for them, and they still connect with them in different little, they'll have dinner with them or whatever, like they'll bring everybody together.
That's
um
awesome.
yeah, dude. So they know they just weren't, just, oh, okay, cool, we're on a program, see you later. And they're
Well,
going to
and
continue to do that. Go ahead.
especially like for people with disabilities, it's a lot of us are very socially isolated. It's hard to get people
Yeah.
to, especially people who haven't been around people with disabilities, to get used to
Mhm.
that and comfortable with it and to get past that weird walking on eggshells
Yeah.
kind of phase or barrier. So that really is, that's huge, and that focusing on that is going to have a huge impact on people. So that's, I'll if I can't find their link, I'll ask you for it, but I'll throw that in the show notes along with all of your stuff too.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's, we uplift you. And I can even connect you with Butch and or Carl, and maybe you can have them on as guests or something. They can kind of explain their organization too, because Butch was I think he was 25 or 30 years in the Air Force. He was a senior. Don't quote me on this. I don't know the ranks in the military. I mean, in the Air Force, but he was like a sergeant major. So I think it's like senior master sergeant or something like that. So he was he was he was that dude. And Carl works for I think working with some pretty big billion-dollar companies, like with oil companies and all that stuff. But he's so they're both really big businessmen, but they're really, really genuine dudes. Um, when so Butch was doing a fundraiser for Operation Surf, a golf fundraiser. So Butch kills these fundraisers. He freaking knows how to get people together and do some rad shit. And so he had a fundraiser for Operation Surf and raised about 90,000, almost to $100,000 for Operation
Jeez.
Surf. Gave it directly to them. And but when I saw, that's when I first met Butch. I went out there for that program, or for that fundraiser, and was just helping out. And when I saw Butch work, like, communicate with people, his leadership skills and his care for people was awesome. When I he worked with he was there, talking to some of the Air Force guys, and just his, like I said, just his demeanor and just his care that you could genuinely see for people. And I was like, I told him, I said, Butch, if you ever need somebody to work for you, dude, I said, I'll be your guy. I said, because you are a leader that I can look up to, and you're a leader that I would love to work for too. And so I just kind of, him and I became really good friends. And
And now it's happening.
yeah, and now, they're helping. I mean, they're letting me help out, and they're wanting me to become part of the team. Or, it's a non-paid staff right now, but I don't give a shit, because for one, it's working for him and Carl, and it's two, well, same as one, I guess. Just serving others, serving these first responders, these veterans, and everybody else. And so that's my passion, is to
Yeah.
be able to get out there and actually help people and be part of something bigger than me too. And
You just need
this
to
is,
stop finding these places that are a quarter of the way across the country.
fuck, dude. Well, I'm not moving out to Utah, I'll tell you that much. But I'll be, if because it's not just going to be based out in Utah. It's going to be all over the place. So I'll I can definitely do the whole remote job and make sure shit happens out here. So
I
um,
love that for you, man. I'm glad.
yeah,
I mean, those are the roles that I've seen you in a professional capacity, and you're perfect for them. Like,
yeah, I
that's
appreciate that,
awesome.
man. I love doing it, dude. I love, like I said, just connecting with other people and serving other people, and you know, so it's meeting assholes like you, and staying friends with them and seeing cool shit that they're doing, just like what you're doing.
Well, I'm gonna come out and get a Prince Albert done at your tattoo shop when it opens up.
Nice, dude.
So that'll be cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
That'll be sick, dude. Who's that for? Who will that be for?
Just me,
What dude?
just it's one of those just cutesy things when I look in the mirror, I can see and yeah.
You'll be able to,
Yeah. Yeah.
you'll be able to feel that thing, dude. I don't know.
What's
But
do you have a website and stuff for your tattoo shop and the rental business?
so no website, but on Google, just Google Coastal Ink Tattoo Laguna Niguel, and you'll be able to find me. But with the rental business, no website. Dude, websites are so expensive, dude.
It is. It's such a
So
scam.
dude, it's crazy, dude. So that's kind of like word of mouth right now. It's not nothing big, dude. 'Cause I only have one trailer.
Yeah.
Um, but no, that's just I don't have any website for that yet. But I probably won't. Unless I have a fleet of trailers and all that shit. It's just I'm renting it out to because I go through RV Share and Outdoorsy, and I have renters go through there. Not under my business, but if they like the trailer or whatever, I can save them a shitload of money, instead of using the middleman. And so
Yeah.
it's the same kind of business like Airbnb. You see this price of Airbnb and you're like, oh, dude, 120 bucks a night, dude, not bad. And then by the time you get done doing all the fees and all that stuff, dude, you're paying like almost $300 a night, $400 a night. And you're like, dude, this is crazy.
Yeah.
So it just cuts out the middleman. But again, RV Share and Outdoors are great, great applications and great websites to definitely go through for trailers and RVs and all that stuff too. But yeah, so just kind of doing that, man.
No, I love that. And I had no idea that those apps existed, but that totally makes sense that there's a platform for that. So,
Yeah, yeah. There's
but
more than that too. So
it's exciting that you've got all these things, all these different irons in the fire. And I'm excited to hear how they all go. You'll have to let me know when this shop actually opens up and I'll share it around. I mean, I only know a couple people who still live in Southern California, but maybe someone will come in and get something done.
yeah, dude, it's in going to school right now too. It's not like I'm gonna be open every single day, dude. I 10 to 4 is where I'm at school all day, 5 days a week, dude. So, um, it's not like this crazy big business where people in and out of here or whatever. But, I've always been kind of word of mouth, but I also have that Google page open too. It's like I said, it's Coastal Link Tattoo and just Laguna Niguel, and it'll show the place and show my artwork and all the other stuff on there too. So, um, yeah, but yeah, pretty stoked on everything right now. There's a lot more coming, and a lot more changes that are going to happen within a year, and just see where everything kind of falls into place at.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy for you. I'm proud of you. That's the whole reason I wanted to have you on. It's such a you've had a very unique path, and I think that that's so important. I mean, at the root of it all, from everything that I've always, that I've seen of you over the past 4.5, 5 years, is you keep yourself really busy, but at the root of everything is you're just kind of following your passion. I think that's very important, and a lot of people don't have the balls to do that, and so.
Yeah, man, it's hard, but you're gonna fail, but there's a lot of successes at the same time, and it's long as I'm able to help somebody, dude, and just like you, dude, you're following your passion for sure. So you're changing lives as well. So appreciate it, man.
Thank you, sir. And do you have anything else you want to plug real quick? I think we covered
Uh,
everything.
yeah, I think we're good, dude. Just again, man, appreciate you having me on, and just always remember, dude, there's always light at the end of the tunnel, dude. If people going in those dark places, because it's a real thing, dude. And I guess I just don't
Yes.
have the balls sometimes to pull that trigger, which is a good thing. But there are
Well,
people
and
who do that, and it sucks.
if you're that person that's struggling, speak up. You have to
Yeah.
speak up.
And find that, find that friend, dude. Find that fucking friend that is going to be a solid connection. Because I fell into that, dude, and
Yep.
I will
And
forever be pissed at that guy who
yeah.
didn't
Well,
help
and
out.
there's, if you don't have that friend either, there's a suicide hotline. I've called them once before. They will help you.
Mm-hmm.
It can get better, and it will if you show up and do the work. So
Yep.
say something. And
That's the biggest thing, dude. Show up and do the work.
yeah, I think that's
So,
a great message to end this on. So thank you to everyone at home for listening to another episode of Going in Blind.